What's up guys, Tommy Bowyer here from Movie Rewind, and today we will be reviewing Into the Spider-Verse, a Spider-Man movie which I had no idea existed until Matthew told me a couple of weeks ago. Now this movie, because I didn't know it existed, it took me by surprise in just how unique and how strong the writing and characters were. Now there's a lot to talk about this film, so without further ado, let's get into it. So Into the Spider-Verse is based on the comic book of the same name, and Spider-Verse has been touched upon before. Basically what it means is that there are several hundreds of millions of alternate realities in which there is a unique version of Spider-Man. So this has been dealt with before. The Spider-Man 90s TV series, which I always, I always connect to every Spider-Man movie. That did touch upon it for I think about 2 episodes. Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, it's a great game. I would highly recommend it. That is all based on the Spider-Verse and alternate realities. However, Into the Spider-Verse is probably the best way to deal with it. The characters are really strong, and that's the thing, there are probably about 5 or 6 different Spider-Men in this movie. However, they all get the exact amount of screen time which they need. They're all very developed characters. Basically, Miles Morales, who is the successor to Peter Parker in the main Spider-Man universe, he's dealt with really well. I really enjoyed his character, and I really enjoyed the dynamics between him, his father, and his uncle. I'm not going to give away any spoilers. However, if you are a Spider-Man fan, you should know who his uncle is. But it's dealt with really well. I felt the characters were really strong, and they all shared very good relationships with one another. And that's probably why this movie was such a surprise for me. Because, sometimes live-action Spider-Man movies don't have such strong connections between the characters. Although for an animated movie to achieve that, that's just, well, it's got some of the best relationships between characters I have ever seen in any Spider-Man movie. I also have to touch upon the style, because I think the animation really makes this movie stand out. Because it is so different and so unique. When it first started, I thought, oh, hang on a minute, it appeared a bit blocky in places, if that makes any sense. I'm not an animation expert, however, that's what it felt like. But as it went along and you adapted to the style, it was very, very unique. And that kept me invested in the movie. I always say if a movie can keep me invested, then it's going to be good. This movie did keep me invested because the style is just so unique that I wanted to see more of it. By the end of the movie, I was like, you know what? I could sit down and watch that all again just for the animation, because it is just so good. It is really top grade animation, and I hope we see more of it in the future. Also, the storyline is brilliant. They handle this, because it's very easy with Spider-Verse. You could have got very confused, or you could have focused too much on one universe instead of the other. However, this movie does an incredible job at balancing all the different universes and all the different story elements. And I don't know how they did it, because it's an incredibly hard task, especially with an animated movie. It's incredibly hard in order to convey a storyline which is so complex as Spider-Verse. They did a really good job though, and I have to give them merits for that. And that's probably why I'd say this movie is not just for children. I think children can follow it. However, it has enough in it to keep adults invested as well. Especially, there is a death early on in this movie. I'm not going to say whose it is. There's a death early on in this movie. And even though you only see him on screen for a couple of minutes, it's actually emotional. I actually nearly started crying, because the script handles its emotional elements really well. And as I said, that keeps you invested in the movie. The storyline is top notch in this film, and it's a lot better than I ever thought it would be. The only negative aspect, and this is really nitpicking, is probably some of the character designs are a bit strange. Probably Kingpin's especially is just a little weird. It just doesn't seem... I mean, Kingpin is portrayed really well. However, the animation style used for him, he just seems a bit wide and flat, which is just a bit strange, to be honest. However, that is only nitpicking, and the way that they handle these different character designs is with the tone. This is a very funny movie, and I even would say it is borderline parody, especially some of the beginning stuff. It's very... I'd say it does break the fourth wall occasionally, kind of like Deadpool does. However, I don't know, I'd say this borderlines a parody, but they keep it so you are still invested and it's still serious. So it's a serious parody, which sounds a bit strange. It's just such a combination of different elements, and I think that's why it was such a surprise and why it is leaving such an impression on me and Matthew. Matthew was blown away by this movie. He'll tell you that himself. Because it's such a surprise and I was really not expecting it, it just blew me away. It really did. So in conclusion, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse has really developed characters, a great storyline which keeps you invested, and it's all wrapped up with a unique style of animation which I really hope I see more of. And that is why Into the Spider-Verse gets a well-deserved 9 out of 10. This was such a surprise for me, and it will be rated as one of my favourite Spider-Man movies. So thanks for watching, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed my Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie review. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe in order to receive great and maybe even improved content in the future. It is coming up to Christmas time. There won't be that many videos out in late December, and then we'll come up and start, with regular videos again in 2019. I really hope that you stay tuned for that, and I will see you in another one. See ya!